This is the easiest recorder I've ever used. And that's because it's a 32-bit recorder. This is the H1E, and the E stands for essential. Because it's 32-bit, there's no adjustment of volume. It all has to be done in post. I'm using it now, and I'm waving it around and doing all sorts of things with it as I'm using it, just to show you that this can be used as a microphone. Now I'm going to put a fluffy on it because obviously with nothing there I could get a lot of plosives and all sorts of things going on, and I'm trying to keep that down. So what I'm doing is I'm speaking into it at the moment without any fluffy or anything on the top, waving it around and using it as a microphone, getting all excited, and so you can see that, moving this around, it doesn't wander because you can switch it to mono, so you don't get any stereo wandering. So I've put the fluffy on now because I want to be a bit more sensible and get less of the plosives going on. But this is a typical way that this thing could be used as a microphone, no wires, and all you've got to do is literally turn it on, press record and talk, because in 32-bit you don't have to worry about the levels. In fact, there is no level control on here. But this is a very, very cheap recorder, and I think it's retailing for something around about £90 to £100, something like that in the UK. It's just come out, and it's also being followed with by a series, the H1E. I think there's an H6E, and there'll be something I'll tell you about the H6 and the H6E later on as well, because you can get some really good bargains. So literally with this recorder, you just switch it on, press record, and off you go. You don't have to worry about levels. I'm going to just demonstrate that by shouting into the microphone, and it won't clip. So if I shout into the microphone and catch you by surprise, and then I take it further back again, I'll have to adjust it obviously in post, but it won't clip, which is really useful when you're out and about recording. But I've got to say, it's a little bit disconcerting when you take a recorder out and you don't have to adjust levels. There's something in me that thinks I've got to do something surely, but no, you just press record, that's it. If you just drag your files into your video editor, some editors won't take this 32-bit, so you need to really get it into an audio editor and then switch it to either mono, stereo, whatever you want, and then adjust the gains. The gains can be adjusted so that even if you clip, you can bring it down and there is no clipping there, or no clipping that you can discern when it's then translated back to the analog domain, which is quite incredible, because we're always taught that in the digital world, once you hit that 0 mark, it's going to clip and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, when you hit the 0 mark on this, or what looks like the 0 mark, it can go a little bit further, which means you can bring it down and it sounds absolutely fine, as you heard. Just one thing about this recorder though, it does have a thin plastic body, which means if you tap it or move it around, that sort of thing, you're going to get noises. But if you're recording, obviously you wouldn't do that, or you'd put it on a stand or something. But it is a bit susceptible to noises from your hand when you move the thing around. But apart from that, it's not a bad recorder, but there is one thing that I do find can be a little bit of an issue with it. No matter how good your preamp is or how bad your preamp is, the one thing that is going to limit your recorder is the quality of the microphones that you use. And of course, they supply microphones with the recorder unit itself. There are 2 in there, and I can have stereo. That's great, but what's the quality of these microphones like? Because that affects the sound quality, even though it's in 32-bit. Because if I speak very, very quietly, what's going to happen is that any noise that the microphone is producing is going to be amplified in post when I bring it up. So I'll demonstrate that to you now. So I'm now whispering into the microphones so that you can hear in post when I bring it up. It's going to be quite noisy. 32-bit recording doesn't save it because of the quality probably of the microphones. And that's the concern I have. If you want to make any quiet recordings, it's going to still have noise. So my biggest concern with this recorder is probably the microphones themselves. They produce noise and the 32-bit can't save that at all. But put a nice punchy signal into it like this, get it close, and you're not going to be affected by noise levels at all. And this is another way that people might use this recorder. They'll plug something like a lavalier straight into it. I'm now in stereo mode. Just with a press of a button I can go into stereo using the internal microphones, and that's on one side, as you can maybe hear. If you've got headphones you will hear it, and now I'm on the other side. I wouldn't normally use this for any form of speech really, because when you move around, you do this kind of thing, and you're moving around with your microphone. Not only does the volume change, but also you move in the screen, the sound comes from different places, so I wouldn't really use stereo. But the stereo is fantastic because you can take this outside, record ambience and stuff like that, and because this unit's so small, you can just get it in your pocket. It's such a tiny thing to carry around, and that's its usefulness, I think. It's also got a low cut filter built in, so you can switch that in if you've got a bit of rumble going on out there, or there are planes and cars and things going on. So the low cut filter can be very, very useful, and it's at different levels too. It's a horrible shot really, it's just a shot of my old garage at the bottom of the garden here, but let's put it out for ambience. Because these H series E type recorders are now coming out, look at the old ones, because if you're not too worried about having 32-bit, you can get some good deals on the older models, because shops might be getting rid of them. For instance, at the moment, the old H6 is selling lower in price on Amazon than the H4. I think the H4N is out at the moment at about £180, and I think the H6 now is about 140 or 130. So you can get an H6 for a lot less, just because the H6E has come out. So have a look, there are some good bargains around, and if you want really good audio, you can get some lovely audio from the H6. It's got 4 inputs for XLR plus the 2 stereo microphones as well. This one is brilliant for carrying around. It's small, it's a little bit noisy, but it sounds fine, and it's 32-bit, so you don't even have to worry about levels. Hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.